He gon' sell some dope with me. Hey, what's up? What's the word?
Yo, it's Corli Jay with HipPopNews. I'm speaking with Sabaah Folayan, the director of a new documentary, Look at Me, Xxxtentacion. The documentary looks at the life of the rapper and his untimely death.
He was exciting, he was polarizing. I knew people wouldn't forget him.
Yeah, hey, yeah. There's definitely a difference between Jose Onfroy and Xxxtentacion.
How you doing, Sabaah?
Hi, Corli. I'm doing well, thank you.
Awesome. Thank you for talking to me today. So can we get into why did you want to get into this project at all?
Yeah, so this wasn't a project that I went and sought out, but I was offered the opportunity to interview for it. And in the interview, I was very clear. I was like, I'm a feminist, I'm an activist. I believe that survivors most times are telling the truth because there's no incentive to come forward. And in fact, it's very, very vulnerable to come forward when you've experienced intimate partner violence. And I kind of thought that I would scare them off by saying this, but when I found that Rob with the Fader and Solomon, X's manager, and his mom Cleo were all very receptive to my approach and they understood why it was necessary, it just really reassured me that this was an incredible opportunity to try to bring an important conversation directly to young people in a way that they would really understand and appreciate.
So how long did it take you to gather all the interviews and background info, and were people hesitant to speak with you?
Yeah, so it was a 2-year process. So there was a year of developing and just meeting people and understanding what the story was. And then we partnered with Hulu. And then there was about a year from the time we started shooting to the time we were done. And a lot of people were hesitant. There was a lot of mistrust of the media because of the controversy and because of how polarizing the reporting has been. You know, people, his loved ones, his community, at certain points were nervous that this was going to be a situation where he was going to be vilified again and, you know, made to seem like a monster. And, you know, people were loyal to him, but also had a story to tell. So my big challenge was letting people know that, look, I'm going to ask the difficult questions. We have to go there, but it's not going to be an aha. It's not going to be a gotcha. It's going to be, let's unpack this together and be honest about what really happened.
And what do you feel was the most impactful message about this documentary, like in your opinion? Like, was there a certain moment that you feel like would resonate with people and audiences the most?
I think it's really a whole package. I think the documentary it's been described a lot as an emotional roller coaster. I think you need all of it to really make it make sense. I don't think that there's any moment that really stands alone.
That's interesting. I totally agree. Like when I was watching it, it was just like at some moments I was like battling within myself on how to feel. But then as it progressed, it was just like I needed that. And I feel like that's really important that you say that. With the degree in biology, why did you choose that major? And do you feel like you use it when you work now, like working in film?
Interesting. Yeah. I chose that major because I've always been very stubborn when it comes to my writing and when it comes to the way that I think about things philosophically. So I was at Columbia University, which is a very private, very white institution. And from the very beginning, I felt like I didn't want my worldview and my philosophy to be shaped by that. So I wanted to study something that I wouldn't be able to study anywhere else. I wanted to get some hard facts. I wanted to know science. I wanted to know math. I wanted to get, you know, under the surface of how the world works. And, you know, what's interesting is that there's a certain continuity between biology, between what happens inside of a cell and what happens inside of society. You start to see certain patterns. You start to see things that are reflected from the micro to the macro. And I really appreciate that because it gave me kind of a sense of what's real. It gave me a sense of how things work, if that makes any sense.
Right. Yeah, I think that's super important, especially just coming from a unique background and coming into these things, like when it comes to like pop culture and entertainment. I really appreciate you having like a unique background. It's like different, something that you don't hear often. One of the most poignant things that from this film is separating the art from the artist, which is a big conversation. You see that with people like X and R. Kelly even. And my question is that, can that really be done in your opinion in the work that you've done in this documentary? And if so, is there any damage done by doing that?
Yeah, I think it is. I think that idea really comes out of capitalism. I think that idea really only comes up when people need an excuse to turn a blind eye to disgusting behavior. I don't know how anybody can listen to R. Kelly. It makes my skin crawl, you know what I mean? And so I think that I don't believe in separating the art from an artist. I think that an artist's work is a reflection of who they are as a being. And in past times, that was something that was celebrated. In past time, you know, what it meant to be an artist is to pour yourself into the work. Now we have a concept that you could just make a product and be totally separate from it, but I don't think that that's real.
And what are your thoughts when it comes to, because a lot of the conversation in the documentary around X is like redemption and him becoming a new person. What are your thoughts around that? Is that something that can be realized in the case of X or an R. Kelly or anybody that has this art out there? Is there any case of redemption and them going through this process of punishment and becoming new?
Well, I don't think it's possible to become new. I think that we always all carry our whole entire story with us. And I think that it's up to each person how they're going to judge another person's story, if they're going to trust another person, if they're going to support another person. For me personally, you know, R. Kelly is a grown adult, and he is very, very much committed to a very disgusting path and has been enabled and supported by so many different people. And, you know, it's nauseating, really. And that's what I see when I look at that situation. When I look at the situation with X, I have a question mark because his life was cut off too soon. And it was a very consistent theme and very unanimous theme that he was changing, that he was finding new ways of dealing with his anger, that he was looking at things differently. I went into it, you know, his mom from the very beginning was like, this has to be a redemption story. And I went into it saying, if I see evidence of that, I will show it. I'm committed to telling the truth. And so if I can find that, then I'll put that in the film. And I did see a lot of people who were very convicted in that. And I think you can even see, you know, there's just a different energy, a different clarity, a different vibration that he has by the end of his life. And so I hope that he would have continued a positive arc. I hope that he would have been a person who was safe, you know, in intimate relationships and in friendships. I hope that he would have been an incredibly positive and beautiful role model for his son. And I think that there's enough evidence to support that hope. But each person and each situation is a case-by-case scenario. And I don't have any room in my heart for pedophilia and sexual violence and all the excuses that get made for it. And another thing that was really important in this film to show is that survivors are so uncared for, even in the world, even in the very moment where Me Too is at its peak and everybody's going hard to draw their line and take their stance. Not even that was enough to create actual support and actual protection for the survivor. So then the question becomes, so what is the point of the judgment? Is it just so that we can say we're on the right side of history, or are we actually interested in having a positive impact?
Thank you so much for that, Sabaah. I really appreciate your take on this and giving us this piece of work that I feel like everybody's going to enjoy. Look at Me. It's out on Hulu on Thursday, May 26th. Make sure you check it out. Sabaah did a great job in this production, and I really appreciate you. This has been Corli Jay with Hip Hop News. Thanks for watching.
Hey, what's up? What's the word?